Hello again everybody, and welcome back. It's been about, oh dear, 4 months already? Time moves too quickly these days. It got away from me, yeah. So it's been 4 months since my first video demonstrating VORTEX, my Doctor Who inspired game, and I've received a good amount of feedback that I greatly appreciate. Seeing interest in the project is certainly a good motivator, so I thank everybody who took the time to comment. Since the first video, a lot has been added. Initially, I was hoping to have the game public for testing at around Christmas. Yeah, that didn't quite go according to plan. But alas, as my ambitions for the project grew, so did the time required to get the actual game's functionalities working properly. This update video is going to be shorter than my previous video, as I'm going to only be going over the new updates I've made to the game. In the first video, I explain VORTEX in a more broad sense, and discuss my overall vision for it. So if you've not seen that video, go and have a look if you're interested. It'll give you some context on what it is I'm about to talk about here. As for the new additions I've made, there's been a lot. The vast majority of changes have been on the back end however, such as rewriting systems and making sure they are all stable. Boring stuff really. However, the game is still very much a work in progress, and there's no set date for when the game will go public. That being said, with the core systems now all in place and functional, I do plan on opening the game for public testing very soon, as this is currently the main goal. So, let's stop all this chin wagging and jump right in.
No good stood round here chin wagging. Human race should gossip all day.
The primary system that required the most work was the quest system. When I last showed the state of this system, it was extremely bare bones. It was barely anything more than just an idea. I'd only implemented the fundamental basics, and to get the system to a level I was aiming for was going to take a lot of time and work. The quest system itself is based on the format seen in most MMOs, such as World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy Online, and Star Wars: The Old Republic. If you're familiar with this style of game, then you'll know largely how that works. But if you don't, let's go over it. Quests will be obtainable via a quest giver, and quest givers are signified by having a glowing quest icon above them. Simple enough. Accepting the quest will send it into your quest log, where you can see what quests you have currently active, or quests you've previously completed. Embarking on quests is the core gameplay mechanic. It's where XP, currency and certain items are primarily gained. You will begin your cosmic journey at the sector headquarters in Londinium, where your mysterious past and track record has deemed you worthy of immediate recruitment by Bossman Field Marshal Alfred Lawrence Stewart. Yeah, this name feels rather familiar. Anyway, as for what sort of quests you can expect, well, they'll be about anything really. For starters, each world will have their own quests that relate to the unique events that may be taking place on that planet at the time. I also plan for a good many to be loosely based on various classic Doctor Who storylines. There'll be my own tributes, so to speak. So if you're a die-hard fan of the show, there'll be many nods to the history of the show. That being said, as this game is also my own vision for a Doctor Who-like universe, I will have a lot of creative license to take advantage of, and I certainly plan to do so. In my previous video, the combat system was in an even worse state than the quest system, but combat is another key system that I want to be a primary gameplay loop of VORTEX, along with quests and TISAT travel of course, so I wanted to sharpen it up a bit. The code for much of the weapon system was completely reworked, and now incorporates an over-the-shoulder third-person view with additional crosshair. I currently only have 3 weapons in the game.
Is that it?
I haven't had the time to add any more yet, and these are a chrono pistol based off of the good old Gallifreyan Staser, the chrono rifle based off the Gallifreyan Time War rifle, and finally a basic, as yet untextured, sector SMG. Now, I do aim to include a large weapons sandbox. I want a lot of normal but also not so normal weapons to be a part of this game. It's all about adding the fun. Enemy NPC logic has also been improved and reworked. Before, enemies would simply shoot consistently with a set delay between shots. Very basic stuff. Now, enemies have a variety of shooting methods they will choose at random, which brings an element of unpredictability to the combat, I feel. I think it's a good time now to show off how the inventory and store systems work, because how else are you going to buy your new TISATs and goodies? Right, so you open your inventory via the inventory icon, and this is where everything you own will show up, as you'd expect. Clicking on an item in your inventory will spawn it out in front of you, where you will then be able to interact with it. Now, I'm not sure whether to keep this particular functionality, as it's not very secure. When I first implemented it, I had initially based it off of how you spawn items in Gmod. But regardless, certain items, such as TISAT exteriors and interiors, will be accessed this way. If you happen to buy an exterior or interior, you will need to find them in your inventory and click them. This will then spawn out a container, which you will then access to retrieve your new TISAT console or exterior form. Now, an important thing to note, exteriors and interiors are not stored in your inventory. Oh no, these two items get their own inventories. Your TISAT exterior inventory can be found down where your normal inventory is, while your interiors can only be accessed from inside your TISAT. And that's all well and good, but where will you buy these items? Well, there will be vendors and stores scattered around VORTEX that all sell certain items. For example, TISAT vendors, weapons vendors, etc. You get the idea. Now, let's get onto the new worlds. There are a total of 4 planets in the game at the minute, each inspired by various planets from Doctor Who, that are all in various stages of completion. 2 of these worlds featured in my previous VORTEX video, Londinium and Skaldon, which have also had considerable additions. The new additions to Londinium include a Chronoloord presence found in a familiar junkyard, and an old Victorian warehouse which has now been taken over by the biodroids, my game's answer to the Cybermen. This collection of calculating cyborgs have made it their mission to rid the beings of the universe of their emotions by adding cybernetic enhancements to organic matter, and they are expanding their operations across the universe. So you know, the usual. Also added is the abandoned Londinium Railway, once a place of hustle and bustle that promised escape for citizens of Londinium leaving for the country, is now a no-go zone of violence and death. So not too much different from modern day London, but this place has become the entrance to a secret Solgan base. As for the new planets in the game, they are Solgar and Mondak. The plan is to release the game with a minimum of 5 worlds. The 5th world I am aiming to include is a world based on Gallifrey that I've aptly named Gallifacts. Because what kind of Doctor Who inspired game would this be without a world based on Gallifrey, eh? But first, let's take a glimpse at Solgar, shall we? The industrial and brutalist homeworld of the Solgans. After traditionally being enemies, the Solgans have allied themselves with the humans, and so fight alongside them in the Chrono War. But a rogue sect of Solgans who feel this alliance goes against their core instincts and beliefs have formed the Solgan Resistance, and seek to restore the human-hating ways of the Solgan Empire, which has ultimately resulted in a Solgan civil war. Mondak, on the other hand, is a cold, inhospitable ice cube that is home to the even colder inhabitants, the biodroids, and I mentioned those earlier. Scattered across the snow-covered lands of Mondak are mainly biodroid strongholds, but this hasn't stopped blissfully unaware intergalactic explorers from travelling to the world and discovering the horrors the planet holds. Among these horrors is the tomb of the biodroids. Sound familiar? Finally, let's return to one of the primary war zones of the Chrono War, Skaldon, the homeworld of the Kavaks, my answer to the Daleks. I wanted to expand on this world considerably, and I'm still in the process of doing so, but current additions include room extensions to the interior sections and completely new exterior environments, such as a battleground and exotic jungle areas inspired by 1960s Skaro. I've not had a chance to work on the TISAT system since the last video all that much, as my time on this game has largely been preoccupied with the core mechanics of the game. When I properly get back to working on this game though, the immediate thing I aim to do is add a larger gallery of TISAT consoles and interiors. So whenever I make a 3rd update video, you can expect new TISAT content being heavily featured in that. However, there is one new TISAT I have implemented, which is the Chronoloord Battle TISAT. Again, it's a largely rough concept, but you get the idea. This sturdy Class 200 time vessel is the main assault vehicle the Chronoloords use to engage in temporal battles while fighting in the Chrono War, equipped with an array of various weaponry, vortex cannons, paradox guns, and black hole bombs. Inside is a spacious room, with multiple console units positioned around the area that all perform different combat functions. Your first glimpse of one of these will be early on in the game at Londinium, where the Chronolords are using a battle TISAT as a temporary outpost. This also just so happens to be the location of your first Chronolord encounter. They will give you a quest that will give you access to your very own TISAT. And so that brings us to the end of the video. That's more or less everything I have to show for the time being. The most recent thing I added to this game was actually the Battle TISAT, which I added in early January. Since that time, I've really not had a lot of time to dedicate to the game. It's taken me since then to finish this video, but I aim to change that. That being said, much of the heavy lifting is now out of the way, what with all the programming of the core mechanics being solidified. Many of the remaining additions are purely cosmetic, which does also take time, as everything in the game is being custom made by myself from the ground up. But this process is far more straightforward, which is always a plus. However, getting the game public in the testing or alpha phase is my main priority. But as mentioned earlier in the video, I don't have a concrete date for this time, but hopefully it will be very soon. I have a lot of plans for this game. If VORTEX is a success, then I do not plan for it to remain entirely in Roblox. Oh no, ideally I'd want to spin it off into something that is completely its own thing, but that'd be a long way off yet, if it ever did happen. As for the here and now, however, comment below and let me know what you think to the game. Let me know what you like or dislike, or what you think I should add next. And also, subscribe to the channel to make sure you never miss an update for the game. So, until next time Chronolords, thank you for watching and bye for now.